Okay, we're ready to roll. What's on the chopping block for today, Glenn?
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. What we have here is some interior walls, and the plan calls for a set of stairs to get us from the first floor to the second floor. And what I have here is this little purple rectangle is a scrap of plywood that I have up on top these floor joists. It's a 23/32 tongue and groove subfloor plywood. Okay, and the reason I stuck it up there is so that we can measure from the top of it down to the floor here. Okay, and all we have to do is measure that line, and that gives us our true height. And as you can see, it's 8'11" and 3/16. Okay.
Okay.
So when you're doing a set of stairs, we have to get from bottom to top. Okay. And what we have to do is divide the entire rise. What we just measured there is the total rise. Okay. We got to measure that, and then we have to divide that into equal parts. Now, we got to go from point A to point B, and we have to determine how many risers we're going to need. Okay, so I'm just going to guess. I'm going to go 96 plus 11 and 3/16. 0.1875 is 3/16. All right, so that gives me a total rise of 107.1875. So if I divide that by 15 risers, gives me 7.145833. Okay, that's my rise. My rise is going to be 7.145.833. Okay, it is. That's my rise. Okay, now that's what that does is that splits that into equal portions from top to bottom, or from bottom to top, however you want to look at it. Okay, we know what our rise is, but now we have to determine what our run is. And to determine what our run is, we have to look at the whole picture. And here's the picture. Our stairway has to go inside this U-shaped set of walls here. And we don't have enough distance to go from here to there and put one set of stringers in. So we're going to end up with a little landing in here. We're going to have to start our stairs here, and we're going to have to go this direction up to a landing, and then we're going to have to go from the top of that landing over this direction to make it work. And our only constraint here is this distance from here to there, because our stair can't come past this point. This point right here, this corner, we don't want our bottom tread to protrude past this point. So when we talk about our run, well, we know that the plan calls for our stair to be 3'6" wide. So if we take 3'6" and we bring it out here, okay, that's how wide our stair can be. Has to be.
Okay.
So our bottom stringer, it can only go from here to here. That's it. That's all we've got to work with, is that distance right there. So that's our constraint. How many treads are we going to be able to get into this spot right here? Okay, well, we measure that spot. 2'7.5", right? That right there tells us that if we're going to have our treads evenly split that up, we're stuck with that constraint right there.
Okay.
We know what our rise is, and we know now that we have to split this up evenly in order to make our rise run combination. So we're stuck with a tread that's going to be 10.5 inches. Catch my drift? And let me zoom out a little bit so we can actually see the whole picture. What I do is I create what I call a virtual stair. All right. And that virtual stair,
Okay.
using the constraint that we just determined because of the distance that we have to go, and using the width of the staircase that we're supposed to be, that gives me something that I can visualize of what that stair is going to look like. But that's not our stringer. That's our virtual stair. That's what the total stair is going to look like, going from point A to point B. And that tells me what my landing's going to be. Okay, I can make my landing work with that. So I just framed a landing in there that actually can be made whatever size we want to make it this way, but it's limited to 3'6" this way. See what I'm saying?
Yes.
Let me rotate that around so you can visualize. I made it in different colors so you can see what I'm talking about. This little stringer right here is the stringer that leads up to your landing. And it's only got 3 treads. It's got 1, 2, 3 treads. And then your 4th step is up onto the top of your landing. Then you turn the corner and you got to go from the landing to your virtual stair here. Now, for me, the importance of this virtual stair is so that I have something that I can make my stringer from. This is not the stringer, because the stringer has to take into consideration the thicknesses of plywood that are going to be covering the stringer. But it gives me my high points. Each one of these points right here is the nose of the step. Okay, let's go down and let's talk about this little one first. You can see that my virtual stair lines up with the end of this wall here. But I've got a 1/2 inch piece of plywood that's going to be nailed against the risers that I have to count for. And then my stair tread itself is going to be made with the plan calls for 1 1/8" plywood.
Okay.
For the tread material. Well, in actuality, that's 1.069 is what that plywood actually measures when you buy it. We make our stringer so that it takes into account these thicknesses. Watch this. Now here, this represents the nose. That's the nose of the actual stair itself.
Okay.
But this thickness of plywood is 1 1/8", and this thickness is 1/2 inch. Okay, so your risers are always applied first. Okay, so as we go up the stair, you'll notice that the 1/2 inch plywood is nailed on first, and it goes right against the stringer. And then the tread covers the stringer, and it covers this 1/2 inch riser here. All right.
Okay.
So that's how it's done. We make our stringer to account for those thicknesses. And then this bottom one you'll notice that this piece of plywood is shorter than this piece. That's because we had to allow for this 1 1/8 thickness of plywood here. In other words, these two pieces of plywood here, this 1/2 inch piece and this 1/2 inch piece, they're not identical. This one has been shortened to account for this thickness of plywood. Catch that? Other than that, they're all equal all the way up the stair stringer. Okay, so let's zoom out here and let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this virtual stair. And now all that's left is our plywood. All right, now let's turn on the layer where we've got our stringers. So I made my stringer having those pieces of plywood in position. Okay, now you're seeing it, right?
Right.
Well, this stringer is made from a 2x14, and it's got a little notch in it for we've got a piece of 2x4 that's flat on the ground, or on the in this case it's on the landing, because this is the upper stringer. This is what your stringer attached to, is this flat piece of 2x4 on the landing. Okay, so let's go back over here to this. Now I can get rid of my virtual stair here, and now all you see is the stringers. There you go. Notice that on this bottom stringer, this is held back 1/2 inch from the edge of this wall.
Okay.
And that means that it's not going to be protruding. Once your riser plywood is nailed on there, it's not going to be protruding. But these are your actual stringers. I could copy these and just bring them out here like this. And then I can zoom in here, and I can turn these into STL files, and I can email them to you. All I have to do is convert this to a solid and this one to a solid, and I can easily turn these into STLs that you can use your 3D tool software to view and measure. And I can email these stringers to you, and they'll fit just like you just saw them fit. And the adjustments have already been made for the thicknesses of plywood, so this works all the way up, and you've seen it. Not only that, but I can give you the studs for your landing. Look at this. Let me copy this one out. It's a different color, but STL doesn't care. If I turn that into a solid, I can email that to you too, and it gives you the exact length of the stud for your landing. So you don't have to worry about calculating it. I've already done it for you. There you go. That's how it's done.
All right. Thank you, Glenn.